good evening, and welcome, everybody. It's Ukraine Update here on the Shills. No mussing about tonight. We're getting right over to Operator Starsky because he's brought somebody cool and new for us all to, get to know. So, Starsky, over to you, buddy.
Hi, everyone. Operator Starsky here. First of all, I would like to tell you some news from Ukraine. So today there was a missile strike on Vinnytsia. And we have information that during the day we had information that the number of casualties was about 23 persons dead, including 3 kids. And currently we have information that more casualties, more victims are being found. So currently the number of casualties is more than 30 people found already. Mother of one of the girls who died, one of the children, she died in a hospital as well. That's why the number is rising, unfortunately. And for you just to understand what kind of so-called special operation Russians are committing here in Ukraine. So according to our calculations, since the beginning of this war, Russians have struck civilian objects in Ukraine more than 17,000 times. Specifically, 17,314 strikes were made on civilian objects in Ukraine. 300
By objects, you mean like a house or like a
houses, structures, trading centers, gas stations, and such. So 17,314 strikes on civilian objects. 300 strikes were made on military objects. So you can see the difference.
Whoa, that's just not how this works.
Yeah. That's why basically in Ukraine we perceive this war as a genocide, because the number of strikes made on civilian objects is tremendously bigger than the number of strikes made on Russian on military objects like military factories and military fuel depots and stuff like that. So, yeah, according to our Deputy Minister of Interior, Evgeny Yenin, basically what we see is military crimes, and all of those military crimes are documented, well documented, and they all will be passed to different institutions like International Military Crime Trial. So that's basically it. And regarding the possible invasion from Belarus, we are monitoring situation in that area, and currently we have information coming from Belarus about their preparation to this invasion, but our armed forces still don't have information about their intervention groups, let's call them this way, forming on the border with Ukraine. So they still don't have enough troops on the border of Belarus and Ukraine in order to launch this attack. That's why we don't anticipate their invasion anytime soon, but we keep monitoring the situation. And with that, I would like to introduce our special guest here. So his name is Chris, and he came from Germany. He's a volunteer who joined my brigade of the National Guard of Ukraine. And tonight here he is with us.
So hello guys, again for those who haven't heard about me before. So Well, I'm happy here to be on the podcast. First time for me. So if you have any questions or how I joined the brigade, I can start, explaining this again. I tried to join I tried to join the war since in 2015 when the invasion was first broadcasted on TV when I was in Germany. My wife called the Donbas battalion for me, and she asked, "Can he join you?" And they basically asked, the first thing is, "Can he speak any Russian or Ukrainian?" And the answer was, "No, he cannot." And that was it for me. So I didn't bother then to join the Donbas battalion in 2015. And the war started in February, and I was in the States actually when it happened, and it was really difficult. It was really tough. I was actually crying for a couple of days. I was there on a job, and I was crying, and it was really, really, really difficult. And I said to my wife, "Now it's no time for me to just send money and goods and anything. I have to do something." And I've been trying to find a unit from Germany, and it was really, man, I mean, it's unbelievable. I could have joined the Legion, but I was too old and no combat experience. I could join battalions, volunteer battalions who are not part of the army, who are supported by the army, but who are not part in the army. And it's a little bit like ad hoc situation where you really don't know, how they are supplied, how the commander is. And I was basically advised from somebody to join a unit which is run by the government, either the army or National Guard or the Marines or anything. So I found the National Guard. So it was quite difficult actually to find a unit from Germany, but the day I found the unit, I say, "Okay, give me a month and I'm coming." And here I am now.
You got there when?
I've got there when about 12 days ago or 10 days ago. Yeah, so it's really fresh. I've been in Ukraine many times because my wife is Ukrainian, so I've been here, for years. But it's now in this situation, I've been here 12 days, as a volunteer.
And what is your motivation to fight here?
My motivation is basically the main motivation is I have a Ukrainian wife, I have Ukrainian children, and for me, it's a personal motivation. It's I want a free country, I want a free Ukraine, and I want my children to be brought up in a democracy like I lived in democracy. I was raised in democracy. I served military service during the Cold War in a democracy. And for me, it's important that, that we here in Ukraine have the same way of life, because Ukrainians are choosing this way of life, the way of life of Western democracy. That's my main reason. And I do this for my kids.
Good reasons. Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. There's been many people in the chat, mentioning that you got some stones, man. Real brave stuff. Well, everybody's appreciating it.
Thanks, guys. It's really it's a very tough decision, especially when your wife tells you at first, "Yeah, you can go." I haven't expected anything else from you, but at the end, she really got cold feet and say, "Are you sure you really need to go?" And I made the decision I have to go because it's on my conscience and I have to do something. Even if I can help a bit, anything in any way, I had to do it. I had to do it. It's tough,
Is there a big German contingent there?
I don't know, because I'm probably the only one now in the National Guard or in this brigade as a foreigner, as far as I know.
We also have 10 other guys, but none from Germany.
None from Germany.
We have guys from the United States, Canada, Australia, and the UK.
So that's quite a bit.
Yeah,
that's quite a bit.
And all of those guys were fighting in Rubizhne, in Severodonetsk. A bunch of them were wounded. during the combat because, as we know, Russians use tremendous amount of their artillery in that direction. So yeah, those are brave guys, and they always fight on the same level as our guys. They participate in the same operations. They basically spend all of their time together with our guys, like team, like family.
It's pretty inspiring.
So I'm not the only one, then it's good to know, but I think I'm probably the only German. There are lots of Germans, probably, I think, in the, well, I did read that in the Legion and maybe in other units. We don't know the numbers, basically. It's a secret, so I would say there's no real numbers, official numbers on how many Germans there are or how many French. Probably in the hundreds. I did read about like maybe 100 or 200 French people, 2 died already. And maybe same as for Germans, 200-300 probably. It's an estimate. It's an estimate.
We have a couple of super chats and donations in. I'm thinking we should turn over to Aimee here, and we'll get a few in.
Yes, please, if we can. We've got a super chat and a member message. We have a super chat from Bartek for $8.99 Polish zloty. It says Poland crowdfunding $1 million for war mate drone swarm. Thank you very much. And then we have a donation from Samantha W for Canadian $32.09. This is in 2 parts, apparently. After all the suffering Ukraine has endured for years before this at the hands of Russia, including but not limited to the Holodomor or the oppression of the Ukrainian language in written form from 18th to 19th century, it's impressive, but not surprising the way Ukraine is showing resilience and strength today. And I look forward to karma being served to Russia via the UA. And then we have a member message from Cat's Cat. Says, I thank you so much. My dad was Ukrainian. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. So, yeah, Starsky, go ahead.
Well, it's Chris. I just wanted to...
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no problem. As I hear most are Anglo-Saxon, either Australia, Brits, or from the US. And I must say that, there's much, I'll put it that way, there's much, and there's some anti-Americanism in Europe. I don't know why, but there is some. And many forget that 1945, Europe was liberated by whom? By America, mostly, Western Europe. We could have lived either under the Russian boots or under the Germans' fascist boots until whenever. So the way I lived in Western Germany during the Cold War is basically thanks to America, and thanks to Canada, to the Australian as well, and to the Brits, of course. But and that's what I'm really sad about, the Europeans who choose to, and who live who've been grown up in the West and during the Cold War, but still choose to like Russia, or to like the way the Russian political system. It really saddened me a lot, and really makes me feel angry, because I cherish the way I was brought up, and I was brought up thanks to the Marshall Plan. Basically, my life is the way I live, or the way I can choose to read what newspaper, or say what I want, or vote different parties. That's actually thanks to the US. So I'm really grateful to the allies who liberated Germany, also in a way, and all the Western Europe. So thank you, guys. Thank you for what your parents did, or your grandparents, and I'm really thankful for that.
Bro, I think there's a perfect way to cure this European admiration of Russia is, to visit freaking Khabarovsk or Murmansk at least once.
Absolutely.
Yeah, at least once, and just understand what it is and how those people there will treat them.
Yeah, so big thanks to you guys, right? Thank you very much for all your help, and for what your countries did to help Europe in the difficult times and after the World War II. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, certain weapons sure seem to be changing the tide right now.
Yeah, that is true. And basically, uh, basically, West is helping again Ukraine. Why again? It's because during Soviet times, during the times of the World War II, for example, my grandpa was a tank commander, and he was injured when his tank was hit by a shell, and that time Soviet Union basically had a lend-lease with America, and currently we have the same situation. Ukrainians fought in the World War II, and Ukrainians are still fighting against other type of fascism, and we are still supported by our allies and by our friends. I think it's beautiful.
Very much. Janie in the chat, my country still sends flowers every year to Canada. Yeah, I know that one. Being Canadian, of course. It's a good story. I like that. We got a few questions we should get to. I wonder who's going to be actually doing that tonight. Dave, want to ask some questions? Charlie, anybody? I'm experiencing an issue here where my Discord is all disconfabulated, so I have to restart it quick, and I can't even get to a room.
Sure, I can ask a specific question before I get to the questions. I have to just sort of buy myself a little bit of time, if that makes sense. But I've got a different question for Chris, if that's okay.
Yep.
People have claimed that the fall of the Berlin Wall was the moment Putin went a bit mad. What's your opinion of that?
Well, I think he has like a colonial, post-Soviet colonial dream in his head, and I think so absolutely that he really regrets the collapse of the Soviet Union. But you can't turn back time. It's impossible. It's like the French wanted having Algeria back or Indochina. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, especially imagine the Brits wanted to have India back. I mean, this is like, of course, it's a bit different. Yeah, the situation is a bit different because I think in Ukraine many Soviet citizen or Russian Soviet citizen Russian. During the Soviet Union moved to Ukraine to work in factories. So there's a little bit of a mix of a culture and ethnicity here, but still it's completely mad. I mean, if you imagine you had Sudan and now you have South Sudan for 12 years and it's a different country. There's no, Sudan is not going to say, oh, South Sudan is ours again. It's separated, and that's the country. South Sudan is 12 years old. Now he comes with the Ukraine as part of. I mean, they live in a parallel universe. Believe me, I have some Russians in Germany. What they think, you won't believe it. When Azovstal was besieged, I had some guys telling me, they're going to find 10 NATO generals under the factory. There's going to be a chemical warfare factory under the Azovstal. It's all going to come up when the Russians are going to storm the factory. And they believe that shit. They truly believe. I mean, it's really, they live in a parallel universe. And Putin is the first one to hope to reverse history and hope to have a colonial annexation of Ukraine, which is completely mad. Completely mad.
I read that a lot of Russia believes that the United States is a frozen wasteland and we're starving to death.
They will believe that. They believe anything what their television will tell them, they will believe it. And it's crazy. If you see what their propaganda television say, that if we don't stop, if the West doesn't stop sending weapons, we're gonna march to Poland, to Warsaw, and we're gonna bomb Berlin. We should have destroyed the Germans during the World War II completely. I mean, it's such a hatred they have in their speech and the way of thinking, and it's reflecting in a part of the population, and a large part. That's very scary, actually. It's very scary, I think so. It's a bit like Germany in 1940. You know, everybody thought what Hitler said was absolutely right and correct.
Yeah, and
It
that stuff
took a-
does nothing but spread.
And it really takes you. It took a lot of energy for the Allies to liberate Europe. You know, I mean, now all the energy has to be on the Ukrainian shoulders, and we need those weapons. We need those heavy weapons, absolutely, more than ever, Yeah. So yes, I think there are. Putin thinks Ukrainian should become part of Russia. It's a colonial war for me in my eyes, and they are all mad. They're all crazy in my eyes.
And of course, Putin hates Ukrainians for giving him this nickname, the dickhead, because he will be remembered after this nickname forever in history.
How do you say that again?
So we say Putin huilo, and huilo sounds a bit like Julio, but it's huilo, and basically it means like dickhead.
For some reason, I'll remember that for the rest of my life.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yes, absolutely. So
I've got a few more questions from the chat. One of them for Starsky from Raul Conte. Actually, there's 4 of them. Technically, it's the same question. He wants to know how many Italians, Austrians, Hungarians, and Czechs are fighting in Ukraine.
Oh, so I've heard about Italians, for sure. I think I even saw a bunch of videos from our Telegram channel with Italians, and there's a lot of people from Czechia, like a lot. I cannot tell you the precise number, but again, we must understand that at this point, we only can enlist people into the international legion, only those with combat background, because there's so many volunteers willing to come to Ukraine and fight against Russian terrorism. So as for people from Czech Republic, there's a lot of them, and I don't know like personally those guys, but I know, like, people who know people, they say that they are fantastic.
Yeah, brilliant. So I can carry on with the questions unless Dick's back.
No, carry on.
Fuck it, I'm going to carry on anyway. I'm more important. Doesn't matter. Dick's, it's my channel now. Right, so Didi Lujuga, I think that's the right pronunciation. I would like to know what Chris and Starsky think about Russia wanting Alaska back. Do you think Russia will is ready to take on the USA and NATO?
no, I don't. They barely be able to take another 200 kilometers here. I don't think they don't have the. It's impossible. I mean, America is, so strong militarily. It's or NATO. They won't be able. It's lots of blah blah. It's propaganda. It's to keeping the spirit high of the Russians. But I don't see that, Chris.
Starsky,
sorry.
Yeah, of course they will not have either balls or military might, so to say, to take Alaska back, but because they are struggling against Ukrainian armed forces armed with a handful of HIMARS systems, and the United States have like hundreds of those. But you have no idea how many times I've heard about Russian intentions of taking Alaska back, even despite the fact that it was literally legally bought from Russia back in those days. Like since early 2000s, I believe they were spreading this idea in their social media, in their press, and I've heard it all the time. such things like we have to take Alaska back. This is traditionally Russian land and shit. Yeah, it's crazy. And for example, you probably remember that on 8th of May, on their Victory Day, they have like every car decorated with words towards Berlin. So it's like, let's storm Berlin once again. We can repeat. And I think if Clapperjack was here, he would confirm that, because it's crazy. They're literally celebrating the war, and I think it's completely wrong.
So, Chris, I want to know what's been the biggest difference between in 12 days from going from domestic life to that life. What's been the biggest shock for you?
The biggest shock is to see. Well, I have not been on the front line. Yeah, just to make it clear, I live in a part of Ukraine now which has been destroyed by the fighting. But personally, I've not been on the front line. I'm not ready yet. So living in between ruins is, it gets you. Yeah, it really gets you. And the thing is, what the strangest thing is that the normal life of the people starts again. You see people on the playground, like young children on playground, teenagers, gathering together, chatting, and what teenagers do, and the grown-ups going to the market and queuing at the market and buying stuff. I mean, that's the most amazing, is that in this situation, the normal life continues. Yeah, that's completely bizarre and surreal, that you have the holes in the buildings, and people just, and the life starts again. I put it that way. The life starts again. Yeah, it's really impressive in that way. It marks me. You know what I mean?
And interesting thing was, like, one of the first discoveries made by Chris is when we visited the ruins that belonged to civilian people, just like ordinary projects, and people lived there before the invasion. Then Russians arrived and forced people out, and they took their apartments, and a lot of those buildings were destroyed by either fire, and there's plenty of Russian bodies are still being found in those ruins. Like last month, we found a body of Kadyrovite that was denazified there, and there's still a lot of them. You can tell because of the smell, and those bodies are still not excavated, not recovered, because there might be some shells or mines, and those ruins still must be explored by our engineers. But the smell is overwhelming, and the first time we've been there, Chris was like, is this the sound of is this the smell of the death?
Yes, that was the first time I've basically smelled a corpse. And well,
Yeah.
yes, it's something else. But it wasn't a shot. It wasn't, it's not the front line. It's you just think what's going on. It's your mind doesn't understand that you're in a war zone, or it was a war zone, and life continues. It's very surreal, and you go to the capital, to Kiev, and you see people. It's not normal life. You have the sirens at night, during the day. You have where you should take cover, but you hear it, and people go to work. And it's many people in Germany in 1945. There was bombings in Germany now during World War II, bombing day and night. The Brits, I think, was at night. The Americans during the day. I mean, nonstop, and people went to work. They went to work even just one day before the 8th of May. People the people stamp, work permits, everything. The life continues. That's really bizarre. The life continues in these extreme situations. It was like this World War II. I see it here, and it's very bizarre, I must say.
Aimee, dear, are you with us?
Yes, sir, I am. We have some super chats built up here. This will be great. Thank you so much. We have one from Raven7 for £8.99, who says Venezia today is beyond reason. Russia is a terrorist state, endorsing the death of innocent civilians. Today, a child and mother left fighting for life. How many do we not know about? I get that. That's terrible. Thank you. And then we have from Lisa for $20. American says 100% support, love, and respect for Ukraine always. Then we have, yes. And then we have a message from Tiny Captain who says, I need some Quilo for my bumhole makes sense now. Okay. And then Susie Q for $5 American says, apparently RTTV's office is in the same building as Russia's top 3 news agencies. Can Ukraine find this building and denazify? Thank you so much, everyone.
I think we know exactly where that building is. So.
Oh, that one from Tiny Captain really tickled me the right way. I'm still giggling. Oh, sorry, I was away there for a minute, everybody. My son and grandma showed up to pick up. His mother bought him a record player for when he's over visiting with grandma and mom. So he wanted to come back home and get some of his records to go over. So, how could I say no, right?
Records are cool.
Yeah, my son's really digging having records. He thinks it's great. His first choice was Elvis Presley's Greatest Hits. I was like, okay, where'd that come from? And it turns out it's the Blues Brothers because he likes the Elvis song they do. But anyway, I just wanted to, blurb that out. There was a question that I had seen go by. I don't know if it got put into the room. Let me just see here. AB Video Active was asking, if the West does enough to help Ukraine back off the zombies, do you think they will activate Serbia to destabilize the EU?
This is possible, of course, because Serbia is one of their biggest allies. Again, I receive a lot of commentaries, a lot of supportive commentaries from Serbians who say that not all the Serbs support Russia. But again, we know that despite the fact that there are decent people in Serbia who support democracy and free world, still another part of their population supports Russia, and we can expect it from them. But we're not only talking about Serbia, because again, Russian far left and far right organizations work in Europe, in different countries, in different cities, and like any like any intelligence agency will tell you for sure that 99% of far left and far right organizations are funded by Kremlin. I'm talking about those active in the Europe. At the beginning of this invasion, our intelligence agency published a list of 400 Russian spies. This list was acquired through our hackers, and 400 Russian spies are active in Europe at this point. And they gave all the information, including their names and birth dates and things like that. So you can understand that there's a lot of them, and 400 it's not the limit, actually.
That sounds like a lot.
Yeah, it's like 5,000 spies in Western countries at this moment. So yeah, the danger can come either from them or from those organizations that are funded by Kremlin to destabilize Western countries. So it doesn't have to be specifically Serbia. It can be any other country with any pro-Russian political party or Russia-backed political party, or organizations like those in Europe that claim that they are either communist or like far-right nationalist organizations. Yeah, we're talking about those.
It sounds so James Bond in the modern day and age. Fuck.
But that's reality. Remember, remember Salisbury incident, and there was a bunch of things like that, poisoning of Litvinenko, and like hundreds of them. So yeah, they are active, and they are still searching for a way to destabilize Europe. And for example, Russia today is like their most famous propaganda agency. It like its main purpose was to spread fakes and destabilize Europe and Western countries. So probably the wisest thing that Western world could do is to block that crap, and I think it was very, very wise.
Commander, you got a hand up?
Yeah, speaking of that crap, I know that listening to a lot of the lies, and more lies filtering through the conspiracy sphere, because we debunk conspiracies here. Some of them are mundane and just silly, others are harmful. But you constantly, as you said in your latest video, spend all your days digging through Russian bullshit. And how do you cope and stay sane? Because it's like just dealing with bullshit in general takes its toll on a person.
Well, I just curl up in my car and cry a lot, and this keeps me sane, basically.
Sad but true, right?
Yeah,
It's the human reaction. I mean, nobody, no matter how tough they are, everyone has a limit. That's just it.
Yeah. That's why I cry and scream in my car when nobody's listening. I mean, this is how I cope with that.
Crazy. Should we get a few of the questions caught up there, Dave? Do you want to jump in and take us through a couple here?
Sure thing. Excuse me. There was one slightly earlier on in the chat. Chris Durham Music Channel asks Starsky if he knows whether Putin's behavior in Syria and Chechnya are exactly the same horrible tactics. I can only assume so.
Yeah, you would.
2 words. You gotta check pictures of Grozny, and you gotta check pictures of Aleppo. That's it. I mean, what else can I say? We also know about the cases of Syrian army using chemical weapons in Ghouta, for example, and we have like traces of this chemical weapon. So the story, don't quote me on that. We gotta check it a couple of times, but I think that the story behind the chemical attack in Ghouta, for example, is that Russia agreed to eliminate those chemical weapons, and we have pictures of Russians with those chemical bombs, Russians wearing like protective suits and stuff. And then we have pictures of same kind of bombs used in Ghouta. So basically they lied about eliminating those chemical weapons, and they gave those to Syrians to perform that attack, or they were literally brought by Russians themselves. So Russian tactics are not different much between Syria and Chechnya and Ukraine. They still keep this tactic of eliminating as much civilians as they can, because they know that best ally of the country's army is the country's people, the country's population. That's why they attack as much as they can all those civilian objects. Again, like, they hit Ukrainian military objects 300 times, and then they hit civilian objects 17,000 times. I mean, this means a lot in regards to Russian tactics. So this is my answer.
That's like 50 to 1, something like that.
Yeah, very much. Aimee, did you want to jump in for a few super chats there? We'll get a few, get ourselves caught up. I almost can't find them in the chat anymore, so we better.
Exactly. I agree. Thank you. We've got one from Mackenzie Zobrist for $10 American. Says, greetings from Oregon. Starsky, I really liked your video with Operator Jane. Would it be possible for you to meet someone from the Hospitalers or Angels of Tira? Those ladies are my heroes. And then we've got one from Springvale Light for $2 American. Says, bizarre, what's the conclusion end game? And then we have one from Mary Maddie for $20 American. Says, so many people in free and mostly free democracies depend on your victory. Thank you both. And then we got a second one from Springvale Light for $2 American. Says, bizarre, all these things about debunking. Thanks. Thank you very much, everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much. Regarding Jane and regarding Hospitaliers, yeah, that seems like a good idea. Actually, I think I should do more video blogs with not only with soldiers, not only with militaries, but also with the people who come to Ukraine to help our civilians. Like, I'm not sure, like, in my opinion, it would be great to tell you the stories of all those beautiful people from Europe, from American continent that came to Ukraine, that sacrificed a lot in their personal life and helping Ukrainian people who lost their homes and who have a lot of problems, like destroyed property, like injuries and stuff. If you are interested in those, I would be absolutely happy to make those people famous, because they 100% deserve this.
Very much. Very much. There was... Oh, I can't get into
a question if you want.
again. Yeah, please, because I can't even get into the questions room right now. I'm going to try restarting Discord again. Sorry, one sec. I'll shut up.
That's absolutely fine. Just very quickly, I want to answer a question myself, and then I'll throw something to Starsky. So Bob asks, Salisbury, he and his daughter lived, right? They did, and then as far as I remember, a few months later, the perfume that was used to spray the particular toxin onto the door handle or the doorbell was found months later by a guy that was going through some rubbish, found the perfume and thought, oh, this isn't finished, I could give this to my girlfriend, and she died. So that's as far as I remember the sort of documentary style sort of dramatization of it anyway. And then the question, oh, I can't find it now. There it is. Was for Chris, actually. How is it in the Ukrainian army? Have you learnt any Ukrainian? That is from Julie Astorp.
Well, the thing is, actually, I have a Ukrainian wife, but we live in a region where Russian is speaking, and I refused to learn Russian for the last 10 years. So it basically leaves me without, and there's not much Ukrainian spoken there. So I had no chance to really learn Ukrainian, and I refused to speak Russian. So basically, I'm actually absolutely clueless in either Russian or Ukrainian. So I have small understanding, from words and stuff. I get the basic, but not much, basically.
But he knows how to curse in Ukrainian.
Yeah, well, I know that. Yeah.
Well, then job done, right?
Then the job is done. Exactly.
I mean, if you're a military, you gotta know such things,
Yeah,
because
you
this is
gotta
the language that we speak every day.
Yeah.
But there's another myth that is so widespread by Russian propaganda, is that Ukraine is repressing Russian-speaking people. I mean, nobody cares that like 50% of Ukrainian army speaks Russian. Nobody cares that there are Russian people in Ukraine who want to stay in Ukraine, who don't want Russia here. And like, of course, Russian consumers, they don't care about such facts. They still believe that, yeah, there's like Nazi policemen running around the streets in Kiev, beating up people who speak Russian language and stuff like that.
Wow.
Chris, what can you tell me about this?
I can tell you that we have actually Russian friends in Germany, and those friends ask my wife for since a couple of years, if I go visit you in Ukraine, is it safe? I mean, are there any Nazis? And my wife didn't understand this question until February 2022. She never understood why the question came up, because what kind of Nazis did she mean? What are you talking about? She never understood that. And since the war started, and since she realized that it was all this propaganda was probably online or on the airways since years before even the February 2022. So, all this in the region where my wife comes from, everybody speaks Russian even now. I mean, there's no all this language bullshit, I would say. It's just in the Russian mind. It's completely crazy. They're completely mad. Completely.
Should we switch to a couple of questions then, and maybe we'll get into a little story time, and everybody can trade some stories and stuff the way that we do so like to around here sometimes?
Yeah.
It's a good idea, right? I can actually open the questions room again too, but Dave's here. I'll let him do it.
Yeah, I was just thinking of a particular question. That's all. There's one that's just come in from, and there's going to be at least 3 letters that are just not in my alphabet. So Cyprin Cyprilib Cyprib Cyprub. I'm going to get to the question. What is, in your opinion, the most helpful Western system that was delivered to Ukraine?
I think probably sanctions, because they are helpful, and we must admit that. Even now, we're talking about the short-term perspectives. Russians absolutely cannot repair or produce more tanks, even if we're talking about new missiles. They cannot build new ones. They only produce like a couple missiles like a month or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's great. Of course, they have enough missiles to continue striking Ukrainian cities for like until the end of the year, according to our estimates. But that's it, I think. And that's great. And of course, a lot of people currently in Russia start realizing that literally, like when you go to a store, the prices are going up, and because they manipulate ruble, that becomes stronger, so their salaries basically going down because their ruble is artificially so strong. And like you have benefits of using this ruble because you can buy more dollars abroad, but something tells me that Russians don't really travel abroad very much these days. So yeah, and they realized that they cannot buy many things that they were able to buy. We don't even mention that that freaking quasi McDonald's, that tasty. That's it. And yeah, sanctions work absolutely, and soon they will have another big problem. They will face this, and they are already facing this, because every cannon, every howitzer, every tank has this resource for using their cannon. Every cannon has a resource which is approximately like 500 shots. And some of their tanks were really old, and they already spent like half of this resource. And judging from the number of shells that are being shot every day, and this number is approximately like 4,000 shells a day in some areas. Yeah, they will face this problem very, very soon, and they won't be able to restore their cannons. As for Ukraine, we have full support in weapons and parts and people. So there's absolutely no way Russia is going to win this war, because you literally cannot fight against the whole world. And the whole world does not support Russia.
Damn straight.
Not even close. Not even close.
Can I throw something out there in the chat for the questions as well? We are going to prioritize questions for Chris, because it's a very rare opportunity that we get to talk to Chris, who's come over from Germany to fight in Ukraine. So if you've got any questions for Chris, then make sure it's actually got his name in the question, and I'll be able to notice it very quickly, and we'll prioritize those questions. Can I throw something out there as well as one of my example questions? Is a bit in cheek, but there is a serious element to it. Chris, what are your biggest fears, and why are they all Starsky's fault?
And why? It's probably the way around, maybe, because maybe he has more fears that something is going to happen to me. I think so. No, my biggest fear would be to be captured. To be honest, I prefer to die than before being captured. Captured is my biggest fear. Absolutely.
Dave, you want to know my biggest fear? Is that I
Spiders.
Aside of spiders, is I cannot joke at Arnold Schwarzenegger's accent anymore, because it's inappropriate now.
Yeah, and that's like, you can't even do the tumor joke now when somebody has a headache. It sucks. But
Yeah.
You have to stop it.
Charlie's good at that shit. He can do voices, man. Hey, we can still do Hank Hill though, so we're good there. So there was there's a topic that we should bring up. I mean, it's almost an elephant in the room being Canadian, but we've got a German, we've got a Ukrainian, and we got a Canadian here. So I guess I have to bring up this fucking oil pipeline turbine thing. It's a total political mess, but the bottom line is Canadians are feeling very trapped, because we don't want to do fuck all for Russia, but Germany's quite concerned that they're going to be in an oil and gas crisis of unparalleled levels, and they're screaming at us to send this fucking thing. It's a nightmare.
It is a nightmare. And Germany is going to face a very, very difficult winter. Very difficult. I mean, the prices for gas, people have to save twice as much as the year before. For example, at the end of the year, we get the bill for what we not produce, what we overconsumed on gas. Yeah, sometimes it's 400-500 euros, and now families have to put probably 1,500 euro aside to pay this bill at the end of the year, which it's really it's tough. But I must say that the Germans, it's their own fault. Yeah, we've been into Putin or into Russia's ass, I would say, for the last since 1990. And it's really like being a junkie, and the dealer is not, giving you the stuff anymore. And where people are going berserk in Germany, and people are afraid of their jobs, of thing. But well, here is war, and there we might have a colder winter in some apartments. But the Germans, they what I always say, forget about Germany, because you cannot count on Germany for military help when it comes to military or anything. You have to forget about them. You have take the money, buy something with that money, but just do not count on them. Whatever they send, it's good, but don't expect much from Germans, from the government.
There's a little confusion in the chat from a few people, so I should clarify. Canada is Siemens is like maintenance and operational for fixing some of these turbines, and we're not sending back Germany's turbine, it's Russia's. But Germany's pleading with us to send it back because they're worried the taps will get cut off. And I'm sure Chris knows what I'm about to say, but with limited supply over the last little while, Germany has almost zero supply built up. If the taps get turned off, people are fucked. So it was a political situation where you can't win. It was such a, as soon as it came up in the news, I was like, oh, for the love of fuck, this is a no-win situation. That sucks. Because you know.
Yes, I understand, but I think Canada had no choice. To be honest,
that's what
Germany
I think.
The Canada had no choice. The German requested that. They're afraid of the winter time. It's true. There's almost very little gas reserves in the depots, and Canada had no choice. It's like Ukraine is right to be mad, but it's like it is, and we see what's going to happen. And anyway, we might not get any much gas for the winter time.
To me, it's a result of globalization. These things in these situations are going to pop up now and then where there is a trap no-win situation because you're trying to be global and help everybody, but at the same time, you want to punish the person that's being an asshole. But the asshole is the one feeding somebody else the oil and gas, and winter's coming. Like, it's a nightmare. I'm glad I'm not a politician for that fucking mess, I'll tell you. That's all I can say for sure. I wonder if we shouldn't get some housekeeping done, bring Aimee in, get some super chats caught up and whatnot, and then continue on our merry way. Oh, she hasn't unmuted yet. She might be in the middle of parenting. It does happen now and then. I might have called her at a bad time.
That's okay. It's fine. Yeah, I was chasing child. It's all good. But I came back very quickly because we have some super chats. Mr. Hominoid for Australian $2 says, how's Max's calendar coming? Got 1,000 customers, LOL. Level 70 for Canadian, $6.99 says, could you please explain what is Ukraine's Army of Drones project? And then we have Samantha Williams for New Zealand, $50 says, I'm probably naive, but it's frustrating to me that the world is just watching innocents being bombed. It never feels like enough is being done. Sometimes it's overwhelming. Or am I missing something?
No,
thank you so much.
No, Samantha, you're spot on.
Absolutely.
Yeah. As for the Max, literally today, I gave him a ride to the gym. So the dude is working on it. Because before making a calendar, you gotta bring yourself into shape. So yeah, I'm watching for this for his progress and yeah. As for the Army of Drones, I probably it's another thing, I'm not sure, but we have this project of educating future drone operators here in Ukraine. It's also called Army of Drones. Probably we're talking about the same thing. And actually, my good friends, remember I I showed you that band from Ukraine called Yukis.
Yes.
The ones who play Irish slash country slash Ukrainian music. So those guys are actually responsible for the school, for fundraising for the school, because they are very, very famous in Ukraine, and among, like, decent people, so to say, and they are gathering funds for making this possible. So our new drone operators would be prepared and trained to use drones for reconnaissance, as well as our attack drones. And we have a lot of people who are working in this area already.
Very cool.
Now, you've made it pretty clear that volunteers with combat experience are pretty much all that's allowed, but how's the supply and demand going for just purely humanitarian volunteers?
Yeah, we have those as well, but mostly our armed forces are providing all the supplies, backing all our combat units. That's why we have, like, civilian volunteers from foreign countries, and in the international legions we mostly have battalions, international battalions that are backed by armed forces. So it works like this. And of course volunteers still help all of our units, like common people send their money to our national bank to be spent on the needs of our army, including our international legion, and we also have volunteers who bring them different supplies, like drones, like first aid kits and stuff. And we also have, like, Ukrainian volunteers who do the same, basically. So as you see, Ukrainian army, including international legion, is not possible without the support of Ukrainian volunteers, of Ukrainian people. And currently we can see that most of people who support Ukraine, we're talking about people from foreign countries, they also turned into volunteers. That's why I always say that if you support Ukraine, you are literally fighting here for freedom, even though you're not here, but you are fighting, you are contributing to this fight, which makes you a defender of the free world, like we are here.
A thing I saw in the news locally, because we have a pretty good track record in my local area in Canada for bringing in some Ukrainian refugees right now and whatnot. And, we're still post-COVID, and there's the Omicron variant still flying around. So we're not completely out of the woods. It's not exactly the best time to land and just instantly find a job to support your family, and away you go. And it's amazing the response I'm seeing around my parts is that people are stepping right up with shows of support. There's FundMe's and donation drives and whatnot going to make sure. And these are these are being fueled by the people in my area who are still feeling the sting of COVID and everything. But nobody gives a rat's ass. Everybody's got a few, and it's really nice to see. It's a good sign for humanity.
Yes, and I want to mention this thing that supporting Ukraine, it's not even it's not even necessary from the perspective of your national interests, right? Because, like, Poland and Germany and Baltic countries, they all understand that it's their biggest interest to support Ukraine, like strategically and geopolitically, right? But also taking care for those people it's absolutely normal because we're civilized people, because this is how we do in a civilized world, right? We like human race have this this not skill, but like part of its nature to help other people. It's
Empathize.
completely it's completely normal for decent people around the world. And basically this is what the world is showing to us, that decent people are still there, and there's a lot of them, and they are ready to help. And I think this is absolutely fantastic.
I couldn't agree more. Commander, you were waiting to get in there.
I have a question on planning for when the orcs are finally gone. Are you going to be accepting help from people with technical skills in rebuilding from other countries?
I think we will accept all kinds of help, and we will need it for sure, because we're still counting how many thousand houses are already destroyed by Russian weapons here in Ukraine. And we will need all kinds of people, from architects, from people who can model structures in 3D, for example, from civilian engineers and people like that. So I think that everybody who wants to help and searching for job as well will be welcomed in Ukraine after the war is finished, after we are victorious. And they will be absolutely welcomed here, and I'm sure that they will find any kind of job, because we will have huge funds. We're already gathering such funds for rebuilding Ukraine. I think it was announced back in March. Sorry if I'm wrong, but I think in March I heard about it for the first time. So we are gathering funds for rebuilding Ukraine, and I'm sure that a lot of such programs will be funded by European Union as well, and by other funds. So we will have a lot of international financial help, financial aid to Ukraine. So all those people related to construction works, modeling, planning, and all kinds of jobs you can imagine, rebuilding roads and stuff like that. They will be
so
very,
much.
very, they will be very, very
Industrial
welcome.
stuff too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's going to
for
be
sure.
factories that need to be retooled and all kinds of stuff, right? And this will be, I totally predict, and I think everybody here will agree with me, but this will be an example of rebuilding like the world has never seen in previous post-war situations, because this isn't going to be a whole whack of countries that have to rebuild themselves. So there's only so much help to go around. This is going to be, all right, we got the orcs out. Let's get this shit done. And you watch, there's going to be an issue trying to find flights just to get there.
Yeah, I totally agree on that. And I hope that it's gonna happen really, really soon. We all
Me too,
hope
buddy.
that,
Aimee, do you want to jump in? Because I'm almost to the point where I can't bring that last super chat up. We better get ourselves caught up here. It's sometimes the chat goes so fast. There's so many messages that they go backwards, and the little button I use to click it on the screen, like I did just there, eventually they disappear.
They do. So we've got David Oliver for £10 sterling, says, I won at bowling today with score of 115, so had double vodka and cokes to celebrate. Really hope Ukraine prevails against evil Putin's regime. Thank you so much. That's brilliant.
That was a good one.
That was good. I love it.
And congratulations.
Yes.
Oh, man. Yeah, I am, Michael Castrian in the chat. You're just getting old, Dick. Yep, I am. When Chris said I'm over 50 and blah, blah, I said, I feel your pain in my brain. I did. But that's all it is, you know. I wanted to ask both Starsky and Chris. Chris, have you seen any signs of overt excessive drug use on the side of the Russian forces, or like intense alcoholism? You know, like, you know, poor military, poor, you know, like poor everything, right? But that's always, in my mind, that would be a bad sign of, you know, do your troops even give a fuck?
Okay, so Max told me that he interrogated some of the POWs that were caught in Rubizhne, for example, and yeah, they told him that they are given drugs, some meds, in order to, you know, just become dumber and just go forward and perform their orders.
Yeah, to become orcs.
Yeah, basically. And the POW that was interviewed, I have video with him on my channel. He said that some of them were given drugs, but they don't have enough of them. That's why they give them like vodka and stuff. And again, it depends. It's different in different units of those orcs, because, you know, some units are better supplied, some units are not so well supplied with meds and stuff. For example, units that are made from mobilized men that were mobilized on the occupied territories of Donbass, they are brought to the front lines without medical examination. They're brought there without enough of, you know, weapons and stuff, uh, without the needed equipment. And I saw and heard that a lot. So that's in relation to drug users and stuff. I've heard that their paratroopers are taking some kind of drugs, you know,
Wow.
in order to stop being like nervous or worried, things like that. Uh, like I don't have proofs, because I cannot claim this is true, because I haven't seen it myself. But even back in my days in 2015, when I was a policeman and we were deployed in Donbass, we would often find the places where Russian troops would stay, or pro-Russian separatists would be stationed, and there were a lot of syringes, like hundreds of them. I'm not kidding. We have like a lot of pictures of that. So they would be scattered all around the place. So yeah, I don't think that they were all, you know, vaccinated from COVID back in 2015. I think it was something else.
Yeah, very much so. We should welcome Claire. She joined a little late. Hey, Claire. Hope everything's good your way. Glad to have you with us.
Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you very much for the
Cool.
welcome. Yeah, it's been
And-
a great conversation right now. It
Oh,
really has.
yeah, absolutely. And to continue it, we should go right to Commander, who's been waiting to jump in. Or not? Hello?
I have a question related to this. I have not seen statistics for a while, but I remember in the early 2000s hearing that the alcoholism rate and drug use rate in general in Russia is, let's put it this way, unhealthy. I think the full-blown alcoholics, the rate was something over 60 something percent. Is that true?
You gotta check out the index of the World Bank on Russia, and I'm talking about the indexes like AIDS, indexes of injection drug users, things like that, and you will understand everything, including those indexes of people who have problems with alcoholism. You will see that this country is democratic, healthy, and absolutely beautiful. Not really.
Not really. There was a great chat in the chat there from Oyster. When faced with artillery fire, shoot up. You'll be fine. Jesus.
Also, Henry Downs said Orcahol.
Yeah, Orcahol. That almost killed me. That was awesome.
I joked about it today. So, what's the most popular name of the band in Russia? It's 30 Seconds to High Mars.
That's funny.
So, Chris, how long is do you have a set engagement there as a volunteer, or can you just wake up and go home if you want?
Yeah, I can basically just, I think all the volunteers, even the ones with a contract in the Legion, can go whenever they want, basically. It's not like in the French Foreign Legion where you have a contract for 5 years, and the first 6 months in the French Foreign Legion, you can choose either you stay or you go, but after 6 months, you have to stay for the last 4.5 years. If you leave, they catch you, you go to military prison, and you have to finish the contract. But in Ukraine, it's like, you can go whenever you want, basically. That's
How long you thinking you're going to stay? Just kind of.
Well, I will have to go back to work once, so I have to support my family financially. So I think I'm gonna go back this winter. So it's not it's not that long, but I would put it that way, that I think I'm gonna be like a volunteer reservist, that I can come every 3 to 4 months a year for my duty. The rest of the time I have to basically work.
Gotcha.
Also, here in Ukraine, we had this situation, for example, when the guys from foreign countries arrived, from like NATO countries, arrived to the front lines, and during the very first shelling from Russians, they were like, "We need airplanes, we need artillery. Where's everything?" And we're like, "There's none." And they're like, "But how do you fight?" And we're like, "Yeah, this is how we fight." So some of those guys returned home, and obviously not everyone is prepared to face what we are facing here every day, including those professional militaries. On the other hand, a lot of those guys choose to stay here, and I must say that those guys are heroic in my eyes, because guys from Australia, very tough, and they're very nice warriors, and guys from the United States and Canada. We also had warriors from the United Kingdom. They're absolutely fantastic and brave, and they chose to stay, even despite the fact that they didn't have all those benefits like they had back in their times in the NATO army, like support from attack aircraft and artillery whenever they want it, and stuff like that. Yeah, but again, I think that soon situation will change, because we keep receiving weapons, we keep receiving artillery systems, and of course, because we are striking Russian anti-air forces using our HIMARS systems, we are able to use our aviation more. So today, for example, our air forces have hit Russian positions near Mykolaiv and Kherson as well, and they keep losing their vehicles and men from our aviation fire, which is great.
There was a question, a comment in the chat there from Hey MJ. You know, supposedly Putin's about to have a daughter with his like fourth girlfriend or whatever. What should the proud papa get for to celebrate? And I said a bullet. And he said, yeah, a nice shiny one. And my response was, well, we better make it silver just to be safe. I mean, you never know with that fucking idiot. But it's there's such a world swell of not only support for Ukraine, but severe hatred towards the Russian government and, you know, any supporters for what's going on. It's hard to believe that, you know, people even in their own country can be fooled by the propaganda and stuff. And there has been protests and whatnot, although, you know, I'm sure they know how to deal with it better than anyone. But it's a no-win situation because so many people in your own goddamn country are never going to want you to be in charge again after this kind of fucking bullshit anyway. It's humanity has gone past borders at this point, you know?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, so I think that they should either pick a better president next time or at least change him like once in 20 years, right?
Yeah.
So maybe then things will get a bit better for them in terms of, you know, democracy.
You know, well, it would seem to me too, Starsky, that they have a serious problem with some of the old guard still being in power, clinging to the old ways. I mean, you still hear stories about KGB and blah, blah, and yada, yada. Like, they seriously just got to get over it. The Cold War's done. Move on.
Yeah, it's true. And he's crazy, you know? Remember that time when he kissed some kid's belly? Like what the hell was that? I mean,
yeah, you know, that's that's the like your own view of yourself as sort of a god in the world couldn't be shown more than by that situation right there.
Yeah, I mean, okay, you're a dad, you have a son, and then some freaking shorty approaches your freaking son and kisses his belly. Is it even normal? I mean,
no. You know, like you know, if somebody's introducing themselves to my son when we're out and about in public and whatnot, if they try to shake his hand, I'm looking to make sure it's at least clean enough to even, you know, before I have to step aside. No, you know what I mean? Like to do that to something. What are you thinking?
Yeah, but people celebrate that. They like it. And I must say that I saw pictures of that very boy. So he grew up and there were pictures of him and like his walls were covered with you know, Putin's faces and shit and like posters. Yeah. So I have a theory. So probably this is exactly the way they spread this infection of the Russian world. You know, like you kiss somebody's belly and then he becomes an orc, like instantly.
Yeah. Holy God. I just that'll never leave my brain because it's one of those weird moments where you just go, wow. You know, like seriously, how inappropriate can something be and you think you're doing good? Like, holy shit. Aimee, should we get...
And then remember, he visited some school and and kids asked him to draw something on the whiteboard and he drew something that looked like vagina, but he said that it's a cat. It's like the dude tried to joke about vagina in the classroom full of kids. I mean,
yeah. You do that in Canada and you guarantee, even if you are the leader, you're never going into a classroom again. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. You will be prohibited to approach such places, like, you know.
Oh, it's crazy. We got a super chat that's lagging there. I'm wondering if Aimee's around. We can, but because I'm about to lose it in the chat here.
Oh, okay, sure. Is it from level 70? Is that the one?
Indeed.
Okay. Yes. Level 70 for Canadian, $6.99 says, have you heard Switzerland came out against giving seized Russian assets to Ukraine because of property rights? I say F them. And then we have one also from Donny Boy 73 for Canadian $5 says Zelensky should ask for the Warthog A10. Thank you so much, everybody.
You got another one
Oh.
real quick while you're at it.
Oh, the one that just popped through? Okay,
Yeah.
let's see. We've got Mrs. Hominoid reluctantly for two Australian dollars. Thank you, Starsky. Aussie soldiers, hurry up, Max. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, so A10 are great airplanes. I'm sure they will help, and even even here in Ukraine, we all love them doing brrrt, you know. Yeah, it's awesome. And the relating to Switzerland, I think that we need to have the results of this trial, the upcoming trial. We need their decision. And after this decision is made, I think that Switzerland will have to, follow this decision. And basically, according to European Human Rights Committee or
Mhm.
court, Russia must instantly stop bombing Ukraine, and Russia didn't follow that. Which basically is violation of this decision. And I think that after they're gone, after Ukraine is liberated from orcs, I think that we will have a trial, and not only one trial. And I think that this decision will be made to pass those assets to Ukraine. So I think that this thing will be done in the future, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, I agree. It's a little bit of political, but they're just doing their checks and balances for their internal government structure. It's just the way it is sometimes, right? Nothing's perfect.
Yeah, again, one interesting thing about it is Russia's been spreading this anti-Western propaganda for like decades, okay? And they still kept like 300 billion of their assets in Western banks. And that's exactly the reason why, Russian elite, Russian politicians keep saying on their TV that, West is dying, rotting, it's all gay and stuff, as if being gay is bad, and at the same time they send their children to Oxford and Yale and stuff like that. So you understand what I'm talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. There was a question here in the chat from Sweet. Operator Starsky, are you worried about Transnistria?
Transnistria.
That's it.
Yeah, Transnistria. We don't really worry about Transnistria, but we still keep enough forces to counter any attempt to use that direction by Russian forces.
Just looking there.
Commander.
Commander, perfect timing.
Context on Transnistria. Isn't that part of Moldova that the Russians claim to belong to them, but it really doesn't?
Yeah, so in 1992 they had this fight, this conflict between Moldova and Romania, and Russians officially supported this part of Moldova, actually. And they claim that it's like a separate territory, like Abkhazia or South Ossetia, that they claim they are independent, like those so-called DPR, LPR in Ukraine. So yeah, basically, if you look at history of conflicts that Russia participated in, right? All they did was basically creating a bunch of artificial like quasi countries and suppressing creation of such new republics on the territory of Russia. I'm talking about Chechnya, for example. I mean, yeah, they say that uprising in Donbass is good, but uprising in Chechnya is bad, and it's so silly.
Mm. There's just there's so many frustrating angles to this because when you look at it from the outside, it never even should be. I mean, it's like we've said it before, but it really feels like Putin's going after whole, rebuild the old union, and nobody wants it. I mean, empire building is over. It's done. Move on. The world is sick of it.
Yes, but he is convinced, and he's convincing others that, yeah, they need to do this because only Russia knows the true path. The Europeans are wrong. They are very wrong, and they don't know the real value of life, and only Russia knows the value of life. They have connection with cosmos and nature, and they have this deep soul and only true religion, which is Russian Orthodox Church. And they have
which is Greek Orthodox, but we'll skim over that.
Yeah, but who cares? And it comes from Kyiv, actually. And
yes.
and their sportsmen are the strongest in the world, even though they take some chemicals that was proved like millions times.
If you were to look in Webster's dictionary under cheat, it says Russian Olympic Games party. I mean, come on.
Nice.
They cheated at speed walking.
Yeah, and that's the reason why they cannot even represent their own freaking country on Olympic Games. So they have this some different flag. They don't bring their flag to Olympic Games. They don't represent their country. They basically represent themselves, which you could see on like random Olympic Games, which is again like the world recognizes that Russian world sucks. This ideology is anything but democratic and decent.
It's definitely not for the people. Holy fuck.
Yeah, but Putin keeps claiming that no, you want to return to Soviet Union because it was so good back there. We kept West in fear, and yes, West must fear of Russian weapons and our achievements, which was basically sending a man into space 8 years before inventing a toilet paper.
Yeah. And just look back on the car industry. During this grand time in the Russian history, they were driving shit compared to the rest of the world that had like nice things. I mean, it's just, there's so many examples of the old Russian way was probably even worse than what you got now. And you just fucked it up by being assholes.
Yeah, it's true. And for example, in Soviet Union, they had 5 times more nuclear weapons than they have now. And probably that's the reason why Putin, wants to return back, because everybody feared Russian people. Again, there wasn't such thing as like Ukrainian or Lithuanian, like
right.
Yeah, everybody was Russian. They made it this way so Ukrainians were laughed at when they spoke Ukrainian language.
Wow.
And yeah, that's the reason why we still have this complex, among people. Why a lot of people still speak Russian? Not because it's so cool. It was because back in Soviet times, you would be laughed at. You would be called like rural man or something like that.
Right.
Yeah, and
Those are hard. Those are hard to get around too because they get passed down generationally, right?
yeah, exactly. And let's talk about Nazism, right? Repressing our other nations and stuff. There's like um, a bunch of Asian nations that were occupied by Soviet Union, and Soviet Union had to even change their native alphabet to like Cyrillics. Again, nobody wanted that. Those nations just simply could not oppose this decision simply because they were a minority. So we're talking about like a different kind of fascism, but it's still a fascism.
No, it totally is. There was somebody in the chat. Sorry, they were saying, one brand of Russian car was actually made from cotton. That was the Trabant. They had this Duraplast was the material they made out of it, and the whole car rusts out and goes to garbage. But scattered all over Russia are these fucking body shells of this car that will never die. Oh, brilliant idea! Fucking idiots, man.
Never heard of that.
Oh, I know car history inside and out. Just name a brand and I'll tell you about it. And during the Cold War and everything, the Russians had the worst vehicles. My God, could they make a tank, but they couldn't make a car. I don't understand that. I don't even get that. But it just goes to show that the whole focus of the government had nothing to do with the people. Otherwise, they would have at least had a decent car to drive around in, right? I mean, holy fuck.
Okay, let's just like talk about the most famous achievements of all the countries, like random countries. Okay, like Germany.
Oh God,
cars.
Where do we start? Jesus.
Cars, Volkswagen, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Carl Benz, Maybach and Daimler and like the whole, oh my God, I could go on forever on that. Yep. Germany, obviously for the win. Wow.
Yeah. So, for example, the United States. Okay, what thing is used in the whole world that was invented in United States? For example, vaccine against poliomyelitis, right?
There you go.
Yeah.
The automatic clothes washer, the automatic dishwasher.
Yeah, and it all was invented in the United States. But for example, this vaccine saved life in the whole world because it was a huge problem around the globe back in beginning of the century. Let's talk about I don't know, France.
Vaccine also.
Vaccine?
Yeah, Pasteur or Mercury.
Pasteur, pasteurization.
Yeah.
Used around the world. And let's talk about Russia. It's Kalashnikov. It's fucking rifle, designed to kill.
Yeah. A Russian invention would be stealing the Greek Orthodox religion and claiming it to be their own. A Russian invention would be hold on a minute here. Yeah, give me yeah. Oh, but no. Oh, but then there no. You getting the pattern here, people?
It's a wonder because it's such a big country with so many resources, and they're not able to do shit about it. If you think about it, I mean, they have a lot, but they can't do anything. on their own. And it's really it's a wonder, actually. It's really a wonder.
Very much is. And, like, the game you were playing there, Country to Country, we could go so on in that. Like, so many people have contributed immensely. And then there's Russia. Claire, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, well, when you mentioned France, well, of course, we can't forget X-rays, radium. Or,
Right.
You
or
mentioned,
Marconi.
or
Marconi and radio, right?
Right. And the American, you're forgetting the light bulb, Dick. Like the light bulb.
There you go. There you
Okay.
go.
In
Right.
UK, what about internet technologies and computer technologies? Where although America's got, we got the California, we got that. What do they call that valley there?
We invented
yeah.
time.
Oh yeah.
Well, wait.
Silicon Valley.
They got Doctor Who. Yeah. Okay. No.
But
that's a
for
joke,
the
yeah.
but for the UK, all we have to go back is to like Edmund Halley and a few, and the inventions. It's just unbelievable. Like this is a whole new show now, right?
No, but you're right. But the point being that I think the emphasis needs to put on is that the point being going back that to Russia, it is all war machines that they're known for, and
vodka. Vodka.
Well, yeah, and France has wine. Damn good wine.
Oh,
I
yeah.
gotta say. Oh, yeah. But yes, war, just war. And that is, I feel for the people that live in a nation that is their claim to fame. That's rough. And I did have a question for Starsky, and I don't know if it was addressed earlier. I'll know that dealing with the propaganda and everything that you and also Chris are dealing with, what kind of information do you get back from the actual people of Russia? Are they able to, is it any different than what I would recognize from like 20 years ago, where it was just completely shut off from the rest of the world and only able to hear what gets filtered through the government?
So they're blocking a lot of their social networks like Facebook, like Instagram. And it's not like sanctions. It's not like Instagram is blocked by, Instagram in Russia. No, it's blocked by a Russian special committee called Roskomnadzor, which is like censorship over everything they do, over every aspect of their websites and stuff. And they blocked Facebook and Instagram because, according to this commission, they are extremist.
Very much.
So those networks are extremist, obviously, and this is why they keep, trusting their own media, because in Russia, their informational area, their information sphere is basically overwhelmed with Russian media. And the only time they use like other medias, like YouTube, for example, is just to post some crappy commentaries regarding you will all die, Russia will prevail, and basically that's it. They in most cases they don't even watch like tons of useful videos that are there on YouTube, for the very simple reason they, like most Russians, don't know English language. They don't care about it.
Right.
Like what's the purpose of learning English language if our kids who learn English language will be interested in this culture? And this is bad because they will start learning about Europe and gays and everything like that. And this is very dangerous for Russian people. So that's basically it. And I remember that, one of the foundations of fascism was basically avoiding learning other cultures, other nations, other achievements, because it's not fascist enough.
Thank you.
Very much.
On the other
There's-
hand, I remember that on that very day of the invasion, I was going to my base, and I received a message from one of the guys who was subscribed to my Facebook. He's from Russia, and he's from far, far Russia, like Vladivostok or something like that. It's closer to Canada than it is to Ukraine. And he said, basically, I'm so sorry about what happened. And I was like, oh, it's okay. And he was like, no, it's not okay. I hope that no, I said, like, it's okay, but you owe me a beer. And he said,
That's a very Canadian way to look at it.
yeah. And he said, yeah, the beer is on me, of course. And he said, like, I said, I told him that I hope that it will not last for a long period of time, and that soon they will have somebody better, some better president or something, so they will have some kind of hope. And he said, no, I think that Russia is hopeless. I hope that it will disintegrate, and I'm very sorry about what's happened. So that was told me by a Russian person.
We have a couple of super chats to get to, but I do want to add a point to that. Disintegrate. There is a very real possibility that that when this is all said and done and Russia's pushed out, their standing on the world scene is going to hurt them to the point where they're no longer Russia, one of the big countries that stand to the United States. They're going to be Russia. Oh yeah, they're just poor and rebuilding. Fuck, give it 20 years.
Yeah, it's true. And interesting question. Okay, Russia is the biggest country in the world, right? What made it so big? I mean, what's the reason for it to be the biggest country in the world? Is it because they have this beautiful culture and science and medicine and, or is it because they freaking conquered all the land?
Right.
Brutality.
It's a joke. Now, here's a point before we get to some super chats here. I think Charlie's going to catch us up, but in Canada, where you have, an open environment for study and learning and whatnot, that's where Hawking and the crew created the Premier Institute near Waterloo, Ontario. And that's just simply an educational institute where smart people get together to figure cool shit out. You don't get that in a place like Russia. Like, seriously, guys, you're missing the boat here, right? The Premier Institute is a huge thing for physics and whatnot. And it's, it's very much in Canada and Canadian, but it's not, because it was brought about and started by a whole whack of people from everywhere else. They just wanted a cool place to do it. You're just not getting that under the regime, guys. But Charlie, should we get some super chats caught up and whatnot? You want to take Amy's role for a minute here?
Yes, sir. I think I found the. Oh, you back, Amy?
Oh,
Gotcha.
I am.
Yeah, she's back. All
Hopefully it's working now. Stupid computer. But anyway.
Only a week.
Exactly. We've got one from Murray Sutherland for New Zealand, $5, says, regards Swiss protection of property rights. Perhaps Ukraine has rights. Just because they're not in Switzerland, not equals they aren't on the ledger. Susie Q for $5 American says the destruction on ammo depots that HIMARS and your soldiers are doing is incredibly excellent. And I love the F. Critter John for $4.99 says, how does civilian captured armor work? Is it simply a matter of handing it to the nearest TDF unit, or are there special cash for tanks places? Mr. Hominoid for Australian $2 says, I was in SigTech satellite mapping, now Google Maps. Julie Astorp donated Canadian $5, says, my government have said that they will not tell the public to which hospitals Ukrainian soldiers are sent to. I work at a hospital and was wondering, what are the security reasons? Have Ukraine asked for this? Promise to take good care of them. Thank you so much, everyone.
Nice.
Thank you so much. So regarding our soldiers, probably, yeah, that's the case again, because we know that Russian spies are active all around the West, and yeah, like a lot of things may happen. For example, every time when Putin fucks up something, there's usually some coincidental terrorist act committed by ISIS, for example, in Europe, right? So when they fucked up with the MH17, when they destroyed an airplane full of civilian people over Donbass, I think that was exactly the time when a terrorist act happened in France, I believe. What a coincidence, right? I mean, yeah, and there's like a bunch of things like that. I'm not talking that, yeah, Putin is so powerful that he controls ISIS, but I still think that he has some kind of influence on that. Again, I have like a bunch of clues for that. So yeah, we can expect that something like that may happen. Let's not forget about again, poisoning of different people by Russian spies. It's a reality after all, and a lot of people can get injured after that, or even die, like in case with Salisbury, because the Skripal family that was targeted by Russian spies, they survived, but literally like bystanders got injured very bad, and one girl died from Russian chemical weapons. So yeah, we have to have some kind of improved security in order, to save lives not only of Ukrainian soldiers but also of our allies in that country that helps us. And as for the question regarding the tanks, yeah, in most cases they are of course passed to our armed forces or territorial defense. I know cases when people would be given such vehicles, by armed forces. I mean, when farmers would tow some vehicle to armed forces. So okay, there's this case when a guy from a village towed a I think it was Uragan artillery system, Russian MRLS. He told it to our guys, and our guys told him that they literally don't have those reactive shells to this system, so he can basically have it. and this guy from village, he actually he is educated engineer, a very nice one. And yeah, he took this Uragan for his farming purpose, and he sent the picture of him standing in front of this Uragan system to his relative who lives in Russia, and he says like, look what I got. So yeah, it was cool.
We got a couple of questions here from the panel, so we'll get to Commander 401 first here.
We have a bunch of, this has to do with Ukraine wanting to look towards, more Western style development and less risky mir. We have a bunch of idiots. They have a slogan, America First, and they want to shove America's head into the dirt and say, we can do it all alone, and, just have America withdraw. Can you explain, and you look at Ruski Mir and that whole concept, why Ukraine looks towards a cooperative world with other people rather than shoving one's head in the sand and ignoring everything around you?
Because you cannot survive in the world without partnership, trade, and exchange of scientific achievements and stuff like that. It's impossible. That's, for example, take Japan. Japan was a quite isolated country, I would say, for like centuries. They've had great culture. They've had great ideology and religion and philosophy, and yeah, in cultural aspect, they are very, very unique because of this isolation. But regarding trade, they've had huge problems. So when people from Europe arrived to Japan, they realized that basically they can use their superior weapons and their trade and stuff like that, their economic and expansion, to basically conquer Japan. And Japan had big problems with those newcomers, okay, from old world, from Europe. That's why they adopted the so-called Meiji restoration, which was basically adopting best practices from Europe. And this this very step made Japan one of the most superior countries in the world very, very fast. So they got rid from this system of this caste system, right? So everybody uh, could become a military, while previously only like your profession would be passed from father to son, and now you could do whatever you were good at. Okay, and yeah, they became very, very successful. And very strong militarily. That's without this reform, I don't believe that Japan would have enough force to stand against Russian aggression, and then basically attack United States and things like that. From like ethical perspective, it's bad, but from Japan's perspective, they became very strong, and nobody can deny it. So, like, you cannot evolve, you cannot progress, you cannot become better country with higher standards for living without cooperation, without trade, without partnership. And let okay, if Japan is not the best example in terms of their past, their participation in World War II, let's take a look at modern European countries like Norwegia, like I don't know, you name it, okay, Spain, Italy, and all kinds of like most powerful European countries. We're talking about partnership, we're talking about progress, and that's what you have to do in order to become successful. Here in Ukraine, we have our let's call him most famous poet, Taras Shevchenko, who said, you gotta learn from others and don't forget about your own, which was very, very wise. And those words are basically the foundation of Ukrainian ideology, of Ukrainian views, right? We gotta learn best practices from other countries. It's not like blindly copying their approach, to economics and social politics and stuff like that. No, we gotta take best practices, implement them here in Ukraine, and share what we have, because Ukraine has a lot of things to share, actually, in terms of culture, in terms of our science, again, Ukraine is a country that sends spaceships and satellites and stuff like that. We have this platform in the Black Sea that is used by that prior to this invasion. It was used by different European agencies to launch satellites, and we have a lot of things to share with the world, and we want to share those things, and we want to have best practices. That's Ukrainian approach, basically. No matter how powerful you are, if you are getting isolated from the rest of the world, you're done. You cannot survive. It's proved by history hundreds of times. And if you forget the history, you will fail in the future. That's my opinion.
Wow.
I would give it my opinion as well. Claire, you were waiting, so perfect timing.
Yeah, yes, that was actually, I was really pleased to hear that, because that's such a broad view, and actually more people need to hear that about how you have to learn from things that have already been done. So you don't have to redo it all over again. You save so much more time. There's something to learn from everyone. I was enthralled with that. But we do have a live chat subscriber request from Nancy Perkins for Mr. Charlie Welch to ask a question of Operator Starsky and or Chris in an East Texas accent, please.
That's too specific. I don't want to disappoint. I
Well,
don't know what these
I
East
just bring,
Texas would be.
well, then just try Texas, I guess, and hope it gets close. Just add a little extra.
What the hell am I reading?
Any question you like. Any question you like.
That's
like
perfect.
this
That
one
is the exact Texas accent.
I like this one from Kim. It's spelled kind of funny. K-Y-M. Kim Fernandez. She asked if where we could find Starsky's band music.
That was a good one.
Starsky, are you listening? I asked where we could get your music. Where we could find your music.
Oh yeah, I got you on that, bro. Well, I gotta say that.
Bravo.
So I want to tell y'all that you wanna go on a YouTube and find that on a YouTube. It's called Starsky.
That's what I was thinking, but I didn't want to say because I didn't want to be wrong, because we ain't wrong in Texas. Ever.
No, we ain't, bro.
I didn't expect that at all.
I need a minute.
And no, Chris and Starsky, we don't all sound like that.
Holy shit, that
I'm
was
so
funny,
sorry,
man.
But I'm not really.
And all the Russian media said that Starsky must be a Texan spy.
That's
They are
awesome.
now. Houston, we have problems, Ski.
Wow.
Yeah, guys. So I didn't want to insult anybody. Actually, I love Southern accent, and yeah, it's like I'm not trying to mimic it because I will fail. You gotta be born in South America. But yeah, I adore that. I think that it's absolutely beautiful.
Oh, the viewers are loving it, dude. You just cracked everybody's funny bone with a big old sledgehammer, buddy. That was awesome. Oh,
Totally
shit.
unexpected.
Yeah. Starsky with the U-All bomb. Y'all. Yeah, exactly. Oh my God. I still need recovery time from that. That was really good. Yeah, Samantha Williams pulls the Ferris. He never had one lesson. That was awesome. Oh, yeah. Oh, man. Well, where do we go from here? Dave, you got a question or two lined up so I can catch my fucking breath here? I'm dying still.
Dig, bro, I think you need a beer and make sure it's all this time.
Talk about guns to lend. You're in the right place.
Yeah.
I did have a few questions. I didn't want to interrupt because we're having such a good time. Shrine W ages and ages ago, years ago, asked the question, what is the hardest thing to overcome since joining the Ukrainian military, Chris?
The hardest to overcome, to leave the family, that's the hardest, to not knowing, what's gonna happen, and if everything happens, if everything turns right. But leaving the family, definitely, that's the biggest. When when your son say, "Why do you go?" Why you don't need to go, and saying, "Dad, please come back." That's really tough. It's really tough, and you have to argue. How do you argue, or how do you you say you have to do it? I do not have to do it, but I want it, and you have to say, I want to do it because I want to do it right, and I make this decision instead of staying with you and playing soccer. It's really something very tough, actually. Yeah, that's the toughest for me right now.
That makes a lot of sense.
Damn right.
And following on from that, there's a couple of questions that are very similar from both from Rodent No Last Name. The first one was, what, if anything, can international people do to help maintain the people of Ukraine's morale, following on from what you just said? And also, I think they also said, I think it's very important to laugh even when facing tragedy. How much does humor help you cope?
Yes. Did you want to?
I can say this. Probably I will post an email so people from other countries could send pictures of Ukrainian flags in their cities, or drawings made by kids, or some supportive movements for Ukraine and stuff like that. And I will gather all those pictures and I will make a gallery explaining each picture, so people could just take a look. They could see this gallery and read about support for Ukraine around the world. I think that would be great.
An awesome idea.
And Chris, how about the humor?
Yes, humor is very important. Actually, it's very important. It's I'm not on the front line, so I'm in a different position right now, but still you have to do the daily chores in your life, going to the market, watching a series maybe on Netflix or whatever, or Amazon, and just enjoy what's normal, but get ready for the unnormal, basically getting the sirens, air raids, and whatever might happen. So humor is very important, and to do the task of the normal life around you, to continue that, not to getting depressed, or not to getting scared, or being in the basement all day because you're scared of something happening. That's very important, to continue the daily course in the daily life, that you have to just think that you have to do in a normal life as much as possible, I would say. And humor is part of it, of course,
Absolutely.
Seeing friends and things like this. Yes.
Yeah, you gotta teach me the German accent.
Scheiße. Das wird schwer. That's very difficult. Nein. Papiere bitte.
Borussia Mönchengladbach.
So yeah, humor is important, definitely. And I think in the army, what I recall from my time, there's always, especially in tense situations, there's the humor is there, to diffuse this tense, situation. Guys come up with humor. I think so, isn't it?
Yeah, I keep telling this story. So in Hostomel, when there was this attack, before the attack, I met some guys from the external intelligence, and they gave me a pack of cigarettes because I started smoking that very morning, and I offered them some tea, and they were like, "Yeah, sure." So I prepared tea. And that very moment, this attack began. So there were explosions and stuff like that, and helicopters circling around, shooting, and like the hell went loose. And I opened the door from my office. I saw two guys, our guys, two conscripts, and they were like very, very nervous, like holding their rifles and looking around. And I said probably the most appropriate thing. I asked, "Gentlemen, you want tea?" And they were like, "What?"
Should we dive into a couple of more questions here then?
Yes, sir.
Oh, we can do if you like. Oh, Charlie, were you going to go?
Oh, go ahead.
I was only going to throw something out there that just came in from John Staley. I'm sure that Operator Starsky has become expert at spotting Russian agitprop. I don't know what that is. He seems pretty level-headed. I'd love to hear some about RT Etel SOP. Am I reading that correct? Am I going insane?
He was probably talking about agitation and propaganda, but I didn't catch up the last one.
Yeah, he says, I'd love to hear some about RT Etel SOP.
No, Russia Today's. Yeah, I think he means Russia Today, right? So yeah, I think that. And what was the word between RT and SOP?
Etel, ETAL. It might be misspelt.
Not sure about that one. I know what SOP is. So one of the recent news again that we've heard from not from Russia Today. They also have like Russia One, Russia One first channel. One of the most recent things that we've heard from them was that they will not stop. They will go to Warsaw, to Warsaw, and they literally state that they want to attack NATO. They don't fear anybody, and I think that in case you hear things like that, it means that they are desperate, basically. Yeah, when you hear Putin's statements like we didn't even start fighting yet, you gotta understand that it's like a gesture of desperation because basically we have a lot of facts that prove the opposite. 1 month ago, they were bringing their artillery shells from Belarus to Donetsk. And the question is, like, why? What the hell? Don't they have enough artillery? We have a bunch of their soldiers, the intercepted calls from their soldiers who say that they fail in terms of this so-called covert mobilization in Russia. They cannot hire enough contract soldiers and stuff like that. And yeah, currently they've lost 38,000 men, according to Ukrainian estimates, 38,000 men dead. And how do you think, how many wounded do they have?
Oh,
Let's multiply by 3, okay?
easy. Yeah.
At least, because in Ukrainian army, it's like 1 to 8. We have 1 dead and 8 wounded, usually. Again, it's due to our, combat medicine and stuff, but let's talk about Russians. Okay, it's like 1 to 3. If their combat medicine is better than we think, it may be 1 to 4, 1 to 5. But we're talking about like hundreds of thousands non-combat worthy people, right? And before the invasion, they've had like 200, 250,000, something like that. So yeah, they didn't start yet, but they already have to finish it very soon. So it's just things look like that. I'm not sure that I answered their question. I mean, we had like, how you call it in English, thematic materials, like a bunch of thematic materials that are used on their television, in their media. So they don't call this invasion a war, they call it special operation. They don't call explosions in their cities explosions. Instead, they call them claps. Like, we've heard a bunch of claps.
Clap.
Yeah, which is kind of funny, you know, when your ammunition depot is getting blasted to pieces, and they say, yeah, we heard a bunch of claps. Just claps, nothing serious. Happens every day. And yeah, and things like that. They stopped talking about denazification recently. Because they they talk about it, but not as often as previously, because they understand how miserable this sounds, and there's really a lot of things to say. So currently they're spreading their biggest myth regarding Ukraine being divided by NATO countries. So because they understand that we have a lot of allies, they are targeting our internal audience with such myths, so we could lose our faith in our allies. So they claim that yeah, Ukraine is gonna be divided, Western Ukraine will be taken by Poland, and they're talking about country that helped us since 2014, I guess, with armored vests and helmets and equipment and kits and yeah, like Poland wants to invade Ukraine, and that's basically the reason why they gave us so many tanks, you know. So yeah, they spread a lot of stupid things, but yeah, they're targeting specific audience in Ukraine. And for example, I've heard the same from my neighbor, who had relatives in Russia. That's why he has his quote unquote his own unique views on this. But basically, he's like a pro-Russian fuck. But yeah, he told me, Poland wants to invade Ukraine. I'm like, oh my god. Uh, so, like, yeah, I understand your pain, guys, when you have to talk to flat earthers, because
That's about the same, isn't it?
yeah, it's very hard to convince somebody that no, you cannot fight people using orthodox cross. There's no such thing as contactless fight, and things like that. And
Yeah. You know, speaking of such
Show the video.
things, Starsky, we have a debate coming up on the channel soon. Hopefully, you're going to be free for it. But M2M Matt is going to be debating somebody who truly believes that the human race has never landed on the moon.
Yeah, it's a nice topic actually. I would like him to explain things like, moon samples that were brought by numerous missions, and yeah.
Oh yeah, I can't wait. I mean, we've actually found the landing sites, for the love of God, and seen
Yeah,
them in photos.
we saw it. We saw it from freaking space. There's this equipment that was planted by Armstrong himself. That
yeah.
you launch a laser beam and it returns back because it gets reflected from that equipment, and it freaking works.
Yeah.
This is the way we learned that moon is getting
Further away.
further away from Earth every year. But like, of course, it's not as interesting as believing in conspiracy theories, because there's nothing exciting about life. Everything is so good that you have to invent some kind of shit and believe in it.
Yeah. And it also comes down to the person too, because they think they're superior somehow because they know something the rest of us don't. It's hilarious.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Dr. Kruger, Dr. Dunning-Kruger, you're needed in Flurfop stat. What are you supposed to say?
Oh yeah. Dr. Dunning-Kruger would help us all, I think.
Yeah, we deal with a lot of that shit around here too. It's pretty funny. But that whole thing of you've got a group of people believing in these weird, strange conspiracy-like theories that are just nonsensical. And these same people are very much huge when it comes to Russian propaganda and whatnot. A few of us on the channel here could go on and on about some of the flat earthers and moon deniers and so on that we deal with around here that are, actually pro-Russian. And I don't think it's a reflection on how well or good the Russian propaganda is. It's definitely a reflection of how fucking poor these people's parents and teachers were, and they should all be ashamed of themselves because you've just raised idiots.
I totally agree on that, because again, on Russian television there's all kinds of those shows regarding aliens and conspiracy theories, and one of the greatest sections of those shows is dedicated to glorious Russian weapons that have no analogs. And Russian martial arts involving Cossacks that actually come from Ukraine, and their sabers, and and those guys know secrets of nature, and they can turn into wolves, and I mean, yeah, and they are raised in this, I'm serious. They can turn into different animals, they can control nature, and they can make you blind in the blink of an eye.
Wow.
Yeah, and they can drink like 500 liters of vodka and never get drunk.
Yeah. Every redneck's dream.
Yeah, and they're like, they like mystificating things. Like, not only Kalashnikov had this beautiful rifle that he created in order to make this world more safer place, and but also this rifle, they still believe in this myth that a bullet from Kalashnikov can penetrate through a rail.
What?
Yeah, and it was disproved like millions of times. Like literally, you can just Google it on you can find it on YouTube. There's like 1 million videos of that it's a bullshit. No, they believe in it, and they believe that this weapon contains some spiritual energy of their ancestors. That's why it's so good,
Holy shit.
Yeah. That's why basically everything Russian is filled with, with this magic, with shamans, with prophecies of ancestors, and
it almost makes sense. It almost makes sense though, Starsky, because that kind of thing, like when you give somebody the belief to, lay themselves on the line for the quote unquote holy war, they believe that no matter what, they are superior. And that kind of thinking being instilled into the populace actually makes sense from the Russian perspective.
Oh my God, you reminded me one thing. So in some Russian city, I gotta Google that. I don't remember the name of the city, but there was, and you imagine not like Moscow or St. Petersburg, you imagine some kind of Slytherin, okay? There was this, you imagine those old Russian built houses, those sketchy looking ones, those made in Soviet times in like 50s and never renovated. And there was like fence, like concrete fence, something like that, like a wall. At some point, people, those religious Orthodox Russians, they noticed that there's some kind of stain, like stain on this wall started appearing, and it looked exactly like Mother Maria. Okay, like Holy Mother.
Yeah.
And everybody, they went crazy. They were like, "Oh my God, our town is blessed!" And they started coming to this wall, and bowing and praying and kissing this stain, and it looked pretty much like Mother Maria. So appeared that those junkies, like local junkies, would often pee on this wall, and that's why a stain appeared on it.
It's Jesus, like that's some fucked up shit.
It was all over the internet in like 5 years ago, I think. I mean,
Wow.
I laughed my ass off, literally.
So if Dickhead had a birthmark on his belly of Mother Mary, they'd all kiss his belly instead.
Yeah, probably. You gotta check those crazy rituals of Russian Orthodox Church, like riding people, like they like the monk would literally ride a man who would
Like on all fours.
Yeah, like on a horse and
Playing horsey.
Yeah. And it's a bit crazy. I mean, yeah, it's part of their culture.
Bit.
But,
a bit. That's like saying, oh yeah, of course, we've done the measurements from cubits to fucking meters. We've built the ark, and it turns out that Noah couldn't even have gotten his own region in. But yeah, sure, he got them all. I think we're behind on a few super chats. I'm not 100% sure at this point because everything got away from me and I can't even scroll back far enough to find them anymore. Does anybody have any idea where we are on this? Because I think we missed a couple, didn't we? Anybody? No? Seriously?
I'm having a look right now.
There are 3 in the super chat room.
Yes, there are. And I was chasing Matthew, so that's where I went. So
Oh, okay. Okay.
I got a parent. Kid first.
Well, exactly. Yeah, I figured as much. I can't scroll back far enough to get a couple of them on screen, but let's get to them because it's been a while.
Absolutely. Okay, we've got Mr. Hominoid for Australian $2. Starsky, your GPS to AIM is SigTech Australia 1994. Then we have Level 70 for Canadian $6.99. And that one says, how do you deal with Russian bots and chats comments that keep saying mighty Russia is winning and Ukraine is losing? It infuriates me. And then we have Mr. Hominoid for Australian $2 again, says Starsky like me on how do we develop rocket aiming? And then we have Samantha Williams for New Zealand $20 says, I received a message from a sugar daddy the other day offering me $7,000 a week. Thoughts on me accepting and using the money for donating to Ukraine? That's brilliant. Thank you so much, everybody.
She got a few great responses on that one too. That was pretty funny.
Excellent. That's brilliant. I love it.
Yeah,
Great one, Samantha.
basically, you can give this sugar daddy a bank a number of a bank account of armed forces of Ukraine. So, to make things easier for him. And and what was the first question regarding the bots? Oh, so. Yeah, at some point, I must say that I'm dealing with those bots since 2008. Because because in 2008 Russia invaded Georgia. Again, saying that they had to protect Russian-speaking people, and they invaded Georgia, and what we did. So it was my father's idea, and me and my brother implemented it. So we decided to make a website, and it was back in 2008. We decided to make a website to support people of Georgia, and everybody, like literally everybody, could post a supportive commentary, and it would go directly to the email of Georgian embassy in Ukraine, and also other people could see what was their message. But of course, we were moderating those messages, and as you can imagine, not only supportive commentaries were sent, right? And in the end, we made like two lists. One was I don't know how to translate it from Ukrainian properly. So one was that commentaries or like messages from people, from human, and another was like messages from inhuman beings. Okay, because a lot of Russians would also message the Georgian embassy, saying shit like, "Soon there will be Russian tanks in Kiev," and things like that. And one of the commentaries I remember clearly even today. So one fuck sent a message saying that we should squeeze you like cockroaches and make you scream from pain, because only when you fear us, you will start respecting mighty Russia, And it was so beautiful. So we made this list so people could read what Russians actually write.
How long does it take a culture to understand that fear and respect are absolutely not the same thing?
It's not synonymous. It's like so I'm dealing with bots for quite a while, and actually there's like it depends, of course. In most cases, like I don't care much about what they say, but on the other hand, other people don't like it's not appropriate for other people to read that, okay? Because it's basically shit. So I either delete that shit whenever I see it, or if it's a funny commentary, I mean, yeah, I respond in a funny manner. So some Russian bot said something like Ukraine Ukraine is taken. Okay. And I replied, why do you call your mother's bottom Ukraine? It's kind of insulting towards my country, you know. And things like, you know, I like to cheer up my viewers and commentators. So yeah, that's like in most cases, it doesn't even matter. Of course, when they start throwing facts or fakes or whatever, I like to have some discussion with them in case they are sane more or less, or in case they are not Russian but simply, you know, brainwashed by Russian propaganda and stuff like that. And yeah, I can give them some facts in return, of course. But in most cases, it's like, yeah, Russia is prevailing. Russia is winning this war. Like, oh my God. Oh, we'll see. I mean, we are currently in like 1943, I would say. But we know what's coming, right?
Yeah. Very much. Very much. You know, I wanted to bring up that TV show, For All Mankind, where they show an alternate reality of the space race and how it played out.
Oh yeah.
They did some shooting and some editing, and the third season took a while to get out and get to us and stuff. And the Russians play a prominent role in that show. And I wonder how the showrunners, the writers and creators and stuff, they must have been hell being in that room if this was going on during any of the writing, or it must have been even more hell if everything exploded after they had the TV show done and in the bank and they were editing it and they're looking back going, oh, for the love of fuck, are we in the worst position in the world right now?
Yeah, but again, they're making a video, like they're making a movie about a parallel reality. So
yeah,
of course.
But even still, people get pretty touchy these days. You know, I mean, God forbid if you're from Hollywood or whatever, and you say one wrong thing, that's it. Your career's fucking done. So you know, I can only imagine that they were a bit nervous and hoping everybody remembers alternate reality. Please don't kill us. Don't vilify us, right?
Yeah, it's true. So one of my favorite developers, I think this company is called SCS. They developed the Euro Truck Simulator 2. One of my favorite games before I acquired a real car, of course. And so they made a lot of add-ons, a lot of DLC for this game, like Spain, Italy, Poland, and yada yada. And they didn't make a DLC for Ukraine, so you literally had like a Europe. And one of the latest DLCs that they made was Roads of Russia. So like you see this map, there's like whole Europe, all the roads, all the cities and stuff that you can visit and stuff. And there's this like big, huge black stain on this map, which is Ukraine. Like no roads, nothing like yeah, just like big, huge stain. And then and then there's Russia. And after after beginning of this invasion, I decided, because you know I'm an evil man, so I went there to their page on Steam and I said that, like, F you guys. I mean, like, who's gonna buy your DLC now? But then I read their news and they were saying that holy shit, they don't support all this crap. Like they don't support Russian politics, they don't support Putin, because they've had a team of developers located in Ukraine, and currently they have to flee abroad because of the war and stuff, and they are supporting Ukrainian independence and freedom and yada yada. And in the end they said that I think like one of the recent statements that I read on their site was that they're not going to sell this roads of Russia anymore. So I think that probably we can expect some DLC with Ukraine. That would be nice.
Yeah. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. We have what might be the most important super chat question, donation question of the evening. So I'm going to turn over right to Aimee right now.
I think it definitely is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, we do. We have Samantha Williams for New Zealand, $20, says, highly important, hard-hitting question. Have you named your ant colonies or any individual ants? I love it.
I love it.
Thank you, Samantha. That's brilliant.
One of the best viewers anybody could ever ask for, Samantha.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I named my queen, I named her Elizabeth for no reason whatsoever. But she's Elizabeth.
I love it. I love it. It has to be, right?
But then she died.
Oh.
So then there was Elizabeth II. And then she died, and then there's currently Elizabeth III, and she's most successful among them all,
Well,
because she...
At least Prince Charles didn't get a chance.
Oh my God! I mean,
that's the horses out back.
Yeah, but it was out of the sheer respect to the queen. Long live the queen, right?
God save the queen.
By the way, and by the way, did you see pictures of Queen Elizabeth with during the World War II?
No.
So she was a mechanic.
What, about 90 years old at that point? Just kidding.
She was a mechanic. She served in the army, and she actually was a mechanic, I think. A driver,
wow, really?
Yeah, driver and mechanic. Yeah, you got to check it out.
Wow. Okay, that's pretty impressive, man. Wow, I almost feel bad for making a joke, but as a Canadian, we make jokes about the royalty. We just have to. But wow, that's really impressive. What the hell? Wow.
Yeah, I mean, like noble people, when there's war, noble people make some kind of good use out of their work, right? So they either go to war like her grandkids, or they participate, or they fight, or they at least try to do something good. They don't hide in a freaking bunker, right?
Yeah, it's very impressive. Bill DeVitt says in the chat, both Liz and Margaret served. So yeah, pretty impressive. I did not know that. Absolutely. Stock raised in my book on that one. Absolutely. Wow. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. There's probably a lot of stories like that, though, that you could go over, where people that you would never think stepped up did. Maybe there's a lack of recognition for that just because, you're a title holder or so on and so forth. I'm not really sure, but that's pretty cool. Oh, yeah. Okay, here. I've got a couple pictures that I can bring up here. So give me 1 second. I'm trying to do this as fast as I can. And
make sure not to show the wrong thing now, Dick.
Yeah, but here we go. Here's a picture of her. And thank you, Aimee.
You're very welcome. But
awesome.
Why do you think I like her so much? She was an inspiration, It's a
yeah, I had no idea.
Yes. Yeah, she was a driver as well.
Pretty
Yeah,
sure
dude,
she
and
insisted on driving everywhere she went.
She
yeah,
still does.
and
Yeah.
she was into cars, man. I
Yeah.
mean,
Oh,
She was.
yeah.
that I do know. The Queen's taste in automobiles has been nothing short of excellent. Absolutely. I will say that for sure. But this is blowing me away. Here, hold on. Let me zoom this shit in. Is my button working? No, my button's not working. For the love of God, I forgot to test the zoom button. Okay. But anyway, what are you going to do? I mean, come on. How cool is that, right? Let's go back to the one where she's, putting the work in too. That's impressive, man. Wow. Blows me away, actually. I'll shut up now because I think I've overdone it. But, I mean, you got to compare that to Starsky's man in charge there. I mean, does he go, on camera in a 3-piece suit right now and stuff? No, he's got like damn near military dress on. I think that's one of the things that people really relate to is, he's not, it's military times and he's not bothering with the whole I've got to look the part and stuff. No, here I am, fuck commander in chief, yada yada blah blah, whatever the titles are over there, right? I appreciate that. I like it.
I can't imagine one American president since I've been alive doing that.
Not a fucking chance. No way. No, same in our country here in Canada. No way. Liam Wakefield in the chat. Princess Alexandra was the commander of my father's regiment and looked after me while I was a baby while my mum went for a rest during a parade. Wow. Holy fuck. That's pretty cool, Liam. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
The closest thing to anything like that in my life over in Canada was for a time we had a stone farmhouse that was built in the 1800s and the walls were 1.5 feet thick. And I remember thinking to myself, I bet the guys from Monty Python grew up in houses like this. But, fuck, I'm Canadian. I'm a bit out of touch. Sorry. Oh, we have another good one. Okay, one more. We have the Queen in her truck. Oh, that's a really good image too. Here, hold on. Let me get this shit together. There we go. Like you can actually tell that's her. No problem. No problem at all, right?
Definitely. Definitely. Yeah. She was incredible. She still is. She's
Wow.
amazing.
And that's
Tough
a
old bird.
60-year-old photobomb. Somebody behind her.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at that, eh? Yeah, that's probably that's the Queen's first photo bomb. I bet she hates that woman to this day. I'm just kidding.
I know, but that was
Yeah.
incredible. I was
Let me
No.
make her disappear.
Oh, so I have like my best selfie ever made.
Yes.
I don't have it right now with me, unfortunately, but I can try to find it. Anyways, so back in 2017, we were deployed on the Svetlodarsk Bulge, and my guys were shooting the DKG, this huge machine gun. And I was trying to make a video of that, and I failed because it's like I recorded them shooting the DKG, and it was done in the night, like it was really dark. You only saw flashes, and in the end, I was watching this video. I couldn't see anything, and I was like, "Damn!" I was pointing my phone at the machine gun. I should have had some kind of footage. So then I realized something. The problem was that I had a selfie camera turned on, and at some point I paused the video, and yeah, I realized that I made this video on a selfie camera. But the coolest thing was that I managed to make a selfie of myself. There was like just part of my face with a cigarette sticking out of my mouth, but it was made using a machine gun's flash as a flash, which was so cool.
No doubt. Oh, we have a huge birthday shout out to do.
We
Susie
do.
Q in the chat. Yeah, Amy, you want to grab that?
I certainly do. We do. Susie Q for $5 says, my mom's birthday is today. She's 95 years old. Just miscellaneous info. Happy birthday to your mom. That's amazing. Thank you.
Yeah. Happy birthday, Mrs. Q, 95. And I hope to see you on 105 with the same super chat. Oh, yeah. Very cool. It's very cool to me because, you know, I'm already in my 50s and I would love to see 95. So please bring it on. But, you know. Oh.
Yeah, I'm not too optimistic of that high, lofty number.
Oh, man. But, you know, us with our first world health problems and whatnot, there's a lot of people out there. I mean, Starsky and Chris know a few. Jesus, we're just hoping they make it through the next 6 fucking months, right? Oh, that shit. It's not fair that, you know, Starsky and us, we all meet, become like, you know, internet online family and whatnot during crisis when it could be during something more enjoyable. You know, it's almost not fair, you know, damn it. You know, I'm glad we met and I'm glad we're friends and everything. I cherish it, but it's too bad that coming together was over something bad instead of good. You know,
Yeah,
it
it's
sucks.
true. In one of my videos, I recorded one of my best friends. She's a Ukrainian journalist here she's like a combat correspondent, right? A combat reporter. And yeah, basically we met at the funeral, which is, yeah, it was.
Damn, that's it. That's. I hear you. I hear you. Keep going. Sorry.
Yeah. So it's like, you know, situations might be different, but we met at the funeral, and that was the very first guy that we have lost on the war. He received a bullet to his face. I probably told you the story already. Yeah, but that's basically the place when we met, and we became great friends. Yeah, and she forgot to congratulate me with my birthday as friends usually do, you know, because we
Right.
don't give a damn about it. So
Yeah.
But yeah, situations are different, and I think that true friendship is born in such circumstance.
Well, you know, Starsky, Mr. E in the chat totally agrees with you. The comment is, I've found that bonds made through tough times are stronger than those made in more jovial moments. And that is kind of proven to be true here, right? I mean, you know, we had you over as a guest on the channel and we were like, okay, we just got to have this guy as family. It was that simple, right? You know, everybody felt it right away. And you know, we're all the better for it, right? It's just, I don't know, maybe, you know, with COVID and then, you know, war and so on, there's just been a few years of down, and the human race could really use a little bit of happy. You know, maybe that's the thing. I'm not sure, but, you know, I like happy, and I don't think we're getting enough of it.
While we're here.
Yeah, totally agree with you.
Yeah. But I think, you know, under the circumstances, we do quite a bit of happy around here in the chats and all. As much as we try to bring news and stuff, I think a lot of the viewers are starting to figure out that, you know, we're as much into hanging out as anything. And I think that brings something that, you know, is kind of us.
Yeah, because, again, you know, we are united over Ukraine, which is beautiful, because I would never expect that to happen. And Ukraine united the most decent people around this world.
Yes.
Around this problem, around our war and stuff like that. But all the decent people in the world were united by this, and I think it's amazing.
Yeah. Oh, I just saw that a longtime viewer of the channel is having a birthday as well. Demon Orb! Woohoo! Happy birthday, Demon Orb! All right. Demon's been around this channel a long time, so big shout out for the happy birthday. And I hope 75 treats you well. I'm just kidding. But yeah, happy birthday, Demon. Right on.
YouTube OG right there.
Yeah, totally right. We're coming up on
Definitely.
3. Yeah, we're coming up on 3 hours. Should we do a little wrap up? And then, if anybody's still into hanging out, we'll just hit the Discord and hang out with everybody?
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea. I want to shout out Demon Orb as well. Happy birthday. Enjoy 40. It's not that bad. I can tell you that.
Pretty bad,
Somebody
though.
give me binoculars to look back in my life to find it.
Oh, Matt reminds me every day how old I am. He's so sweet. Gotta love the kiddos. I told him my age, and he looks at me like I have 3 heads. Like, oh my god, my mother's that old.
That's funny. Yours is younger than mine, but I'm older than mine. So you should see the look when my age comes up. It's almost foreign to them. How do I count that many numbers?
I don't have that many fingers. I know. That's what Matt does too. He's a booger.
But seeing the time, Amy, do you want to take us through a round table and maybe we'll do some wrap ups?
Absolutely. Let's do a quick one. All right, let's see. First up, I'm going to start out with Mipet 69. Mipet, what are your thoughts on tonight, if we can? Or if she's not available, we can move on with that. Oh,
There she is.
you're there! Yay! Yes, clear too.
Oh, I think the dragon has flown the coop. There might be technical issues because she's unmuted, but I don't hear a fucking thing.
I can hear her. She's fine. Yeah.
Guys, be quiet. I think she's sleeping.
I don't hear anything.
I can hear her.
So-
That's weird.
What?
We can hear her.
We can hear her. I can hear her.
We can't.
I don't think she's going on the stream.
She is. Well, I don't know. I'll check with the stream. Can anybody hear her on the stream? Can you hear Mipet?
Rodin says Mipet has no sound. We
Oh,
can't,
that is
says
odd.
Bill. Okay, yeah, there's
Okay,
something
okay.
fucked up. Yeah.
All right.
Mipet, refresh your Google Meets and then we'll come back to you.
Yes, Mipet said to say good night. So that's what she said. I could hear her, so I'll do that.
What the
I'll do it.
hell?
That's weird. Yeah, I can hear her loud and clear. It's crystal clear. And Claire could hear her too. So
What?
I know it's weird, but we'll
I
just
blame Putin. Fuck you, you bitch. Okay, anyway.
Okay, let's keep going. So we've got Charlie Welch. Charlie, what are your thoughts on tonight?
Oh, it's good to finally sit in on one of these, and nice to finally talk to Starsky. And I really hope Chris comes back. Has a really unique perspective. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, for sure. We'll come back. Don't worry, guys. Still lots of time until winter. So I will be back.
Good.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you. And next up, we have Commander 401. Commander, what are your thoughts and wrap-ups? Oops. Okay. Well, we'll just keep going.
What the hell is with meats tonight? Wow.
I don't
okay.
know. It's weird. It did it to me too, and I think that's what froze my computer. So we'll just keep going. All right. So we have Claire Esper. Claire, what are your thoughts and wrap-ups on tonight?
Well, hopefully, if anyone can hear me, I would just say it was really great. I'm sure Commander would say the same if they could hear her. Well, I really enjoyed the perspective from Chris also. I do hope you come back. It was very good to hear another part of it, and again to commend Operator Starsky for all the additional information tonight. I actually got a lot more out of tonight on a different level, on all the different levels, in a broader perspective. So I appreciate it.
Thank you, Claire. Really, many thanks.
And next up, we do have Operator Starsky and friends. So what are your wrap-ups for tonight, please?
As usual, I was really happy to meet you here, guys, because we you don't practice English and then you forget shit and stuff. So yeah, again, another great opportunity for me to practice English and answer questions of our viewers and your questions, guys. So thank you very much. And of course, I was really happy to introduce Chris tonight, and I think that he also has something to say.
Yes, for me it was the first time, so it's really something special, and I'm sure you will hear more from me, but it's going to take a little bit time.
You did a great job.
Thanks. I'm going to have to do some training, so I'm going to be away for time, and then I think like around end of August, sure I will be here around here. So it was really great, fantastic experience, and many thanks for the listening and that you're with us in your heart with Ukraine. It's really important to us, and I can feel it. Many thanks to all.
Wow, cool.
Thank you so much. It was so great to meet you, Chris, and it was great to see you again, Starsky. I want you both to stay safe, please. Slava Ukraini.
Geroim Slava. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. And we have a super chat for $5 American. Lisa, she says, thanks, Chris. And then we get going back. We're going to try again with Mipet. Mipet, did you want to try again and see if we can hear you?
Trying again. How's that?
Yes! Yay! Brilliant.
I'd like to say I'm the unique Aussie on the panel. And Chris, awesome job. Yeah, really interesting. So thank you very much for coming. And as always, Starsky, love it. What can I say? But Slava Ukraini.
Nice.
Geroim Slava.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And last but not least, we have Dick Dawson. Dick, what are your thoughts and wrap-ups on tonight?
Amazing chat again. We get through the news and then we get a little bit more chatty, and that, the viewers seem to be really resonating with that. It's more personal. It's more us. I really like it. Chris, fantastic showing on the show tonight, and you are more than welcome back anytime. We'll get Starsky to make sure that we can get in contact, trade emails, and we'll get you over again, because absolutely, Starsky, as always, wonderful to see you, buddy. I'm hoping coming up, we've got a couple of special things planned. The one is the moon landing debate, the denial guy. I'd love to see if you could make that show if possible, because it'll blow your fucking mind. These idiots. We do have to, do a big shout out to Putin for being the most horrific piece of shit in modern memory. Not in history, but in modern memory for sure. You, sir, deserve the silver bullet saved for the vampire right through your fucking skull. Fuck you. And for everybody else, I hope you had a great night joining us and hanging out tonight. Amy, what about yourself? Thoughts and wrap-ups?
Thank you very much. I'm so glad Chris could make it. You had a wonderful, unique perspective on everything. So thank you for that. I want to thank everyone in the chat for coming. Thank you so much for all your support and ongoing support with this. We can't do it without you. I do have to say that, the silver lining from all of this is we did get to meet Operator Starsky and Chris, and sadly it is under bad circumstances, but hopefully in the future, now that we know them, we'll be able to see them on the sunnier days. So let's hope for that as well. I want to thank the panel for coming as well. It's always great to have all of you here. And I want to thank everyone and have a great evening. Slava Ukraini.
Good night, fellow babies. Slava Ukraini.
Get out.
Night.
Should I hit the button, or should we babble on for a minute? Should I hit the button? I'll hit the button. Good night, everybody.
Hit the button.
Hit the
Bye, guys. Thank you. Bye.
It's over. Go home.